Welcome to Mets. Oh, okay. 2 for 2 in butchering the first.
Great job,
intro.
guys. Great episode 2. All
Here
right,
we go.
see you guys later.
Wrap it up. Welcome to Mets Prospective, presented by Verizon, our digital series focused on the top prospects in the Mets organization. I'm Jacob Resnick alongside Joe DeMayo. And Joe, a lot's happened since our last episode. A lot of injuries at the top level in the major leagues, forcing some reinforcements to come up from AAA Syracuse. But one constant has been the top prospects in Brooklyn, the high A level. Ronny Mauricio, Brett Baty, and now Francisco Alvarez. After we talked about him in our first episode, he's now been promoted to Brooklyn. So Joe, we talked about Alvarez last week. We're going to talk about Brett Baty this week, the left-handed hitting third baseman. Why don't you give us a little bit of a background on Baty and your scouting report on him?
The Mets drafted Brett Baty in the first round, number 12 overall, out of Lake Travis High School in Texas in the 2019 MLB draft. And coming out of the draft, frankly, he probably had the best raw power in the high school draft class. A lot of these prospects, when they're players in high school or college and they have power, they have the ability to either have pull power and then they struggle to go the other way, or vice versa, where they have opposite field power and they need to learn to really jump on that inside pitch. Dom Smith is a prime example for me that throughout the minor leagues, he really had opposite field power. It wasn't until he reached AA, almost AAA before he was comfortable pulling the ball for power. Baty in high school had the ability to pull for power and go the other way for power. So from an offensive side of the game, very, very polished for a high school player. He also pitched in high school. He was up to 92, 93 on the gun off the mound. So playing third base, he has plenty of arm for the position. I think he has a real chance to stick at third base, and his bat certainly can play at the spot.
Yeah, for me, the two big things on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to Baty, the power, you mentioned it, easy power to all fields. And number 2, advanced knowledge of the strike zone. He's still just 21 years old, which is 2 years younger than the average high A player. Despite that, 8th in the league in batting average, 5th in the league in on-base percentage so far. In terms of a major league player that might be comparable to Baty's skill set, Joe, what would you say Baty reminds you of?
He reminds me a bit of Kyle Seager from the Seattle Mariners. Left-handed hitter, power to all fields. You know, if Baty really matures like we expect him to, he could be a 25-30 home run bat at the major league level, which is really where a guy like Seager resided. And I think with his growth defensively, I don't know if Baty will ever win a Gold Glove at third base, but I think he's certainly capable of playing third base at the major league level. He needs to continue to work on his foot quickness, making sure he has soft hands, so that way he can play to his plus arm that he has at third base. So that way he can truly stick as a third baseman long-term and hopefully not, end up shifting over to first base where the Mets might be a little crowded with, Pete Alonso and Dom Smith under the fold for the coming years.
Our guest this week is Cyclones third baseman Brett Baty. You were in Major League camp during spring training. You spent a lot of time working with guys like Pete Alonso, JD Davis, corner infielders, and you had said at the time that it was a dream come true to work with those major leaguers. What was the biggest thing that you took away from working with those guys, and what have you kind of taken into your own season now?
Yeah, they just really taught me to focus on the little things, because that's one of the biggest things about baseball is just doing the little things right and getting better at those things. So just the way I work and the way I go about myself, they really taught me a lot. So I was just grateful for the opportunity to be able to go to Major League camp. It was a dream come true.
I like them. Yeah. Turf gives everyone confidence. No doubt.
If you had to give a scouting report of what Brett Baty brings to the table, just so the fans get a feel of you as a ball player, what would that scouting report look like?
He's just going to be a all-around good player, all-around solid player. He's got the hit tool, he's got the plate discipline, he's got the power when he needs to show it off. His arm over at third is plenty. And then he's gotten really good with his quickness and his footwork over at third base and his defensive side of the ball. So he's coming to be an all-around solid player.
Baty, 105, tú.
105?
Sí.
Bases loaded, one pitch
Just one?
to win the game. Last round.
Okay.
Okay.
Vamos, Jimmy.
Okay. Vamos.
You have another top prospect playing on the left side of the infield with yourself. That's Ronny Mauricio, one of the top prospects in this organization. And the other day, Francisco Alvarez, top catching prospect in the organization, joined you as well. Just all three of you guys being considered part of the future of this organization. Just how much fun is that, and what have your interactions been like with those guys?
I haven't played with Mauricio in like a full season yet. I got to play with Alvarez and Kingsport a little bit. They're really great talents, and I love to be on the same field with them. Just whether it's like each other, like supporting each other in the lineup or on the field or anything like that. They're just really great to be around, really great guys to be around, and they teach me how to like work and get better too, because I'm trying to better myself while we're still kind of competing a little bit. So I just really enjoy playing with those guys. They're really great dudes.
You've got mail.
All right, now it's time for our mailbag segment where we take questions from Mets fans on Twitter. And our first question comes from Steve Miller, who asks, outside of the top 6 prospects, who would have the highest ceiling in the Mets organization?
For me, I'm going to go right-handed pitcher Robert Dominguez, who the Mets signed as an international free agent for not your typical big sum deal like they did with Francisco Alvarez and Ronny Mauricio. But when he showed up to Mets camp, he went from throwing low to mid 90s to throwing mid to upper 90s and reportedly touching 99 miles an hour. And some in the scouting community actually believe that the Mets got the best international prep arm in that signing class. He has a curveball that shows good spin rate and early signs of potentially being a plus pitch. For me, he's a guy that you're going to be forecasting years and years down the road here. I mean, he's nowhere close to getting anywhere near the major leagues. But once he does, I think you have a true plus arm that has a chance to be a frontline starter if everything really works out. Worst case, he's going to have that 2-pitch mix with the upper 90s fastball and the plus breaking ball that will profile at the end of ball games as, a potentially closer type option.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another international player as well. This time, outfielder Freddie Valdez. Valdez was signed to the same international class as Francisco Alvarez. Valdez did not get an assignment to start the 2021 season, so he's still working back in Port St. Lucie. But he's a very physical outfielder listed at 6'3", 212 pounds at just 19 years old. Back in 2019, that was when he made his professional debut. 25 extra base hits in 60 games as a 17-year-old between the Dominican Summer League and a cup of coffee in the Gulf Coast League. So at just 17, already showing that power. Like you said with Dominguez, long way away, but Valdez really has the tools, I think, on both sides of the ball, potentially have an impact, but the range of outcomes there are crazy wide. All right, now it's time for our Stock Watch, where we talk about some players who have recently caught our eye. Joe, start us off.
I'm going to go with 2019 4th round pick, Jake Mangum. He's an outfielder who was recently promoted to AA Binghamton. Back at Mississippi State, he actually set the record for the SEC. He is the all-time hits leader in SEC history. So far in AA, he's showing some power. He has 3 home runs on the early season. He's showing good contact ability, and he has the ability to play all 3 outfield spots, specifically center field. So to me, I look at Mangum, maybe he's not a future all-star or someone that, is going to be all over the back pages of the newspapers, but I think Mangum he is the prototypical 4th outfielder, high energy player, leader, high hustle. To me, Jake Mangum's a big leaguer, and it's just a matter of when it happens. And I look at him as, a 4th outfield type profile that could be in the major leagues for quite some time.
I'm going to go with his new teammate in AA Binghamton. That's Carlos Cortez. I've always been a little skeptical of Cortez. He was the Mets' 3rd round pick back in 2018. Out of South Carolina. A little skeptical of him just because he's the type of guy that needs to hit at every level. Being a smaller guy without a position, he needs to hit, and he has. He's proven me wrong so far. He's been above average at every level of the minors, and that hasn't changed as he's gotten his feet wet in AA for the first time. He struggled in his first week's worth of games. Since then, he has an OPS near 900 with just 1 more strikeout than he has walks. So it's early, but his power numbers are up. He has 3 home runs so far. He's lifting the ball more, which is really crucial for someone like him with a lot of power from a small frame. His walks are up, and obviously the position is the big question for him. He started off as a second baseman. Now he's been playing exclusively in left field. So it's not hard to look at him and see a floor of a major league bench bat. It's just going to be interesting to see kind of how far he can raise his ceiling as he creeps towards AAA in the major leagues.
And it would be really fun with Cortez if we could see him play some second base, because he's a very rare switch thrower. When he plays the infield, he throws right-handed, and when he plays in the outfield, he throws left-handed. So hopefully he can profile at both spots so we could see a guy with two different gloves.
That'll do it for this week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Mets Prospective, presented by Verizon.
See the Mets of tomorrow play today. The Brooklyn Cyclones play baseball on the beach all summer long. Visit brooklyncyclones.com/tickets.